Welcome to Besiegebox, the real home of robotic combat in Besiege. In this episode, we complete the featherweight preliminary round, seeing another 4 bots through to the round of 16, while the 8 losers will have to prove themselves in the redemption round. We're going to kick things off with the returning champion from last year's Spring Bash Cup, Dippii. Our first machine in this episode is Krakatoa, the adorable grab-a-lifter bot by the Hydra Initiative from the UK. It currently holds a 3-in-1 record and features a durable frame and has shown good capability for controlling its opponents despite being a newcomer. The second entry in this rumble is the reigning champion Dippii from Ireland's Frogmint Robotics. Despite only having a 1-and-run record, Dippii placed in the top 18 in 2018 Featherweight Fury tournament as well as winning last year's Spring Bash Cup. And lastly, we have Falkenrath, a unique design from Team Night/Robotics that is both a flipper and a hammer. Its 0-1 record is nothing extraordinary, but that can partially be attributed to it being an experimental design. We're underway with the first fight of the final episode of the preliminaries. We kick things off with Dippii, last year's Spring Bash Cup champion, as all 3 bots get flipped over in the early going, and they're all kind of struggling to self-right. Dippii up first. Falkenrath's up. Krakatoa still flipped over. Dippii taking the opportunity to get some control points by continuing to flip Krakatoa. Falkenrath comes in, tries to flip Dippii there, but misses. Managed to land the right way up, that's good. Dippii with a nice flip on Falkenrath as well. So yeah, won last year's featherweight bracket, and it was considered quite an upset at the time. But Dippii, a very solid ball with a very good driver. Falkenrath looking for a flip there, actually gets it on Krakatoa, and Dippii manages to flip him. Falkenrath going close to the pit. Oh, they're kind of stuck on the edge. It's going to be hard to get down from there, because if they fire the flipper hammer hybrid the wrong way, it could end up damaging them. Good flip onto Krakatoa. Dippii goes to get Falkenrath, and they get off the pit just in time. I'm not sure if that was deliberate by them or not, because they would have been getting counted out. No, it seems like the driver's having some technical issues here. Very unfortunate for them. Are they back in yet? No. Krakatoa taking the time to get some good control on Dippii. This is really good driving from Krakatoa. They're a new team to this competition. Oh, it looks like Falkenrath's back in the mix now. Yeah, they're a new team to this competition, but the driver pretty good. It's a well-made machine. Also looks good, which is nice. A lot of first bots don't look that good. And I believe it's the driver's first bot, or one of their first bots at least. Oh, Dippii with a big hit, but unfortunately that could have ooted if the flipper didn't get stuck in between the chassis pieces of Krakatoa there, so a bit unfortunate. Falkenrath gets a hit on Dippii, but is struggling to self-right here, possibly due to the technical issues. Maybe not. They seem like they're doing it. It's just having a lot of trouble landing. They're going to be counted out at this rate. And, well, now they're KO'd anyway because they can't drive without that piece. Yep, they've definitely been counted out. And doesn't seem like the damage points will be going to anyone since it was a hit from Falkenrath hitting Dippii that actually flipped it over. So the damage points will not be going to anybody. It's just going to be Dippii against Krakatoa. Dippii gets a nice flip there. Flips Krakatoa off the wall. Underneath again. Another nice flip. This is brilliant from Dippii's driver. Just throwing Krakatoa from one side of the arena to the other and looking for a pit here. Not quite. Ooh, just bounces over the pit. Unfortunate for Dippii. That was an excellent series of flips. But Krakatoa gets the wedge back in play, which is exactly what they want. They're struggling. Oh, they're trying to drive out to give themselves a bit more room to maneuver. Smart driving. Missed flip from Dippii. Krakatoa has the opportunity to get some control here, and they're going to take it. Doing a good job getting under. Pushing Dippii around. Oh, but Dippii gets another nice flip. Almost an Uda there. That Dippii has been very unlucky with the way some of the flips the physics have worked on these flips, because some of these should have thrown Krakatoa toward the pit and didn't. That's time. So we'll see who wins the decision, and Dippii wins on aggression and style, just due to the amount of weapon flips, I believe. So Dippii going to the round of 16, Krakatoa and Falkenrath to the redemption round. For the first entry in this rumble, we have Bluebird, a flipper built by Outcast Robotics from the USA. Bluebird holds a modest 4-8 record and looks to climb up the featherweight leaderboard while racking up some wins in this tournament. Purple Heart is a vertical spinner built by the team known as Angry American from the USA. At a simple 1-3, Purple Heart's weapon has shown that it has solid Uda potential, but the short diameter can leave it struggling to hit certain bots. And sneaking in as our final entrant in this fight, we have the vertical spinner of Rogue, built by Style and Substance Robotics from Australia. Rogue comes in with only a 1-4 record, with 4 of its total ranked fights ending by pit, but it has yet to be KO'd. We're underway with Fight 2 here. We have 3 bots that haven't been too impressive in the ranked scene so far, but Bluebird especially has received some pretty big upgrades before this tournament. It appears the left side weapon mount has already kind of detached on Rogue, which is a big issue with this bot. The weapon mount is not well made at all. And it looks like one side of the motor is actually broken. Oh, almost goes Uda and then barely avoids landing in the pit. Rogue back up though. Bluebird did lose a blade on its flipper, which not good for it, but could be worse. Good hit from Purple Heart, almost Uda's Rogue there. Purple Heart getting some pretty decent control actually. So the style of wheels you see on Purple Heart are quite good because they cause the bot to not bounce around too much. Unfortunately, the bot is quite despite its speed, like it doesn't bounce around as much as other bots. You can see it bounces a bit, but that's due to the way the chassis is built, not due to the way the wheels are. Having a bit of trouble controlling themselves there. Rogue kind of stuck against the wall because of that tail. Also makes it harder to turn, I believe, the driver said. Good hit on Purple Heart from Rogue there. Rogue's spinner can throw things around, can do okay damage. It's not the most damaging spinner, unfortunately. But does throw things around pretty well when it can land its hits. Purple Heart getting flipped heavily by Bluebird there. Bluebird kind of really just controlling the other two because they're not very controlled bots at the best of times. This is good driving from Bluebird. Rogue, the weapon has been weakened because the motor on that left side is broken. It detached and it was still fine, but then it lost one of the wheels when Bluebird hit it. Bluebird, surprisingly, actually has done the most damage in this fight by breaking one side of the motor on Rogue, despite the two spinners being in it. So, Rogue struggling to get up here. Yeah, the spinner rather, might not have enough power to get it back over. Purple Heart with a nice hit on Bluebird. I think... yeah, Purple Heart spinner is broken as well. It must have got broken on one of the flips from Bluebird. I'm not sure when. Rogue has been counted out. I believe that KO credit will go to Bluebird, as Bluebird was the one that flipped Rogue over. Purple Heart trying to get position, does drift quite a lot, which is unfortunate for it because the lack of bounce. Oh, good flip from Bluebird, almost sends Purple Heart into the pit, but they managed to avoid it. Oh, that big cog came off. That's going to make them a lot less control. Oh, Purple Heart looking to get them in the pit. Okay, so the spinner isn't completely broken on Purple Heart, but one side of the motor is broken. It has a similar amount to Rogue, but not quite the same. Oh, there goes the whole spinner. Bluebird actually flips the whole spinner out of Purple Heart. And they're just throwing them around at this point. Bluebird has pretty much won this. They even won on the damage category since they KO'd Rogue and broke Purple Heart's spinner. And Bluebird kind of taking its time here. And that's time. Yeah, clear decision in favor of Bluebird. Heavily won on everything except aggression. Going into the round of 16 is going to be Bluebird, and the redemption round will see Rogue and Purple Heart. First up, coming to us from France, we have the vertical spinner by the name of Beatbox, built by Mist Inc. Beatbox has an 0-3 record, but is piloted by one of the most experienced teams in Besiege bots, so it could perform better than its record would indicate. Next up, we have Vomit Comet, a colourful horizontal bar spinner built by Team Angry American from the USA. It also has an 0-3 record, and while Vomit Comet tends to be very destructive for its opponents, it can also end up destroying itself in the process. The final entrant for this rumble is Zap, perhaps one of the favourites to take the entire tournament, built by Team Archaon from the Netherlands. Rolling in with a 13-3 record, Zap's builder has a reputation for dominating in the lower weight classes. We kick off the third fight here with 3 different bot archetypes. We have a horizontal, a vertical, and a flipper. And no. Oh my god, yeah. Maybe? Okay, so what happened there was, on that very first hit of the fight from Beatbox, Vomit Comet's motor got broken. So it is functionally useless at this point. All it can do is kind of drive around. Zap throws it over. I don't believe it can self-right. Oh, and in the background there, Beatbox's weapon motor got broken by Zap flipping it. And Vomit Comet, well, the credit was already going to go to Zap, but Zap just making sure by dunking Vomit Comet into the pit while it has some time. Team Archaon really showing off in this rumble thus far, quite frankly. They are the most successful team in Besiege Bot's history. I've mentioned this several times, every time they come up. 3 tournament wins. Especially in the lower weight classes, won the Featherweight Fury back in 2018. Beatbox still trying to fight here. They also won Beataweight Bash in 2019. And I believe they won the heavyweight bracket of last year's Spring Bash Cup. Oh, now the motor is broken on both sides of Beatbox. So Beatbox is functionally useless at this point. It can barely even function as a wedge due to the way the the weapon is hanging. It's just, yeah, this is a sad fight. So let me take some time to tell you about Team Archaon and just how dominant they are outside of the tournament wins. Out of 9 tournaments they've participated in, they have only failed to make the top 8 on a single occasion, which is insanity. No other team comes close to that kind of dominance. Maybe the Diddlers or Institution of Insanity are probably 2 of the other best teams. But yeah, nothing close to Team Archaon. And they're trying to look for the pit here. I believe they were also trying to use the backside to work like a dustpan wedge there for a little bit, which is hilarious. It didn't work, but it is funny. And this is unfortunate for Mist Inc. They've been a long-time competitor, haven't managed to find a ton of success, have been nominated for Most Destructive a few times. Been around the block though, very experienced, and this is just unfortunate for them. I'm sure, you know, they're trying their best, but there's not much they can do. Zap just having trouble lining up the kill shot. while Beatbox struggles in vain to make it to a decision. And there it is, out of their misery. You already know, double pit KO, Zap goes into the round of 16, Beatbox and Vomit Comet go into the redemption round. Next up, we have one of the best themed robots in the entire competition, the ever-explosive Krakatoa 2 built by the Diddlers representing the Netherlands. Coming in with a hot 2-1 record, Krakatoa looks to rain fire upon the competition with its massive horizontal bar spinner. Low amounts of Patriotism is the next bot in the rumble and comes to us from the Chilean team, the Crunch Bunch. Low amounts of Patriotism is a bit of an unknown in the tournament due to its lack of recorded fights. It will be interesting to see how its lifter holds up against some of the more well-known flippers and lifters in the division. Finally, we have Sensory Overload coming to us from the UK's team Mistakes Were Made. Team Mistakes Were Made are a team known for their driving skill and have won the Best Driver award on 2 separate occasions. Sensory Overload is also the only cluster bot entered into this year's featherweight bracket. And here we begin the final fight of the preliminary round for Spring Bash Cup 2020. The 2 losers going into the redemption round. The winner goes to the round of 16 to await the redemption round winners. 3 very experienced teams in this fight. The Diddlers have won the most recent Super Heavyweight tournament, Super Heavyweight Sorter, which was actually their first tournament win, despite placing very well in almost every tournament prior to that. Doing some decent damage, ripped a blade out of low amounts of Patriotism, and seems to have busted up that one part of the cluster. I think that... I'm not even sure... Is that blade... Oh no, that blade is from Sensory Overload. Excuse me, it's not from low amounts of Patriotism. It's like a little self-righting blade, I think, that helps it self-right when it gets flipped over. Well, they've both lost that now. Low amounts of Patriotism stuck on the side of the pit thanks to Sensory Overload. They managed to wiggle their way down, but they eat a big hit from Krakatoa, which is just ping-ponging around the arena. Oh, but they managed to land the right way up. They don't have a efficient way of self-righting. It can self-right just due to how unstable the bot is, but it's not a clean way of doing it. Sensory Overload loses the flipper on one of the bots. Like I was saying, with the experience of these teams, the Diddlers have placed well in a lot of tournaments, so have Team Mistakes Were Made and have won the Best Driver award on 2 separate occasions. And one of those bots was a cluster, and the other was a full-sized bot that also had a mini bot. So kind of a cluster. So they're used to fighting with clusters and team skill. That Sensory Overload kind of stuck, maybe getting counted out. Low amounts of Patriotism got... Yeah, it got really messed up by that big hit from Krakatoa earlier. Oh, and another blade goes flying off it. Krakatoa is doing a lot of damage in this fight. I think Sensory Overload have realized that splitting the 2 bots up and controlling them isn't going to work anymore, and they really need to get Krakatoa out of there. Because if Krakatoa makes it to the decision, it's going to win so heavily on damage that the other categories might just not even matter. It's also probably going to get pretty highly on aggression. Oh no, the Sensory Overload, both Sensory Overload and low amounts of Patriotism got knocked up there. Because Sensory Overload was closer to the pit, they actually got knocked in by low amounts of Patriotism. The KO credit will still go to Krakatoa, since it's the one that actually knocked both of them into the air. But that's just brutal. Because now the only piece of Sensory Overload that's left is the one that doesn't have a flipper. It's looking rough for Sensory Overload. They're trying to wiggle that side back down. They get it. Low amounts of Patriotism's entire white segment is gone. If you didn't know, it's meant to look like the flag of Chile. where the team are from. That's why it's called low amounts of patriotism, because it's low effort patriotism. Sensory overload gets hit and inverted there. Can they drive like that? They can kinda normally drive inverted. Yeah, it seems like they can. Well, that's patriotism actually gets under Krakatoa there. And they managed to make Krakatoa flip over, but I think that's because they turned off the spinner. Krakatoa wins pretty heavily. Going into the round of 16 will be Krakatoa. Into the redemption round, low amounts of patriotism and sensory overload. That's it for this episode. Moving straight into the round of 16, we have Dippii, Bluebird, Zap, and Krakatoa 2. Meanwhile, going into the redemption round are Croc and Ore, Falkenrath, Purple Heart, Rogue, Beatbox, Vomit Comet, low amounts of patriotism, and sensory overload. In the next episode, we will begin the lightweight bracket redemption round. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing. If you're interested in joining our community, follow the Discord link in the description. From everyone here in the Besiege Bots Discord, have a fantastic day. We'll see you soon.